Welcome to the Unbiological Dad. My name is Keith, and I'm the Unbiological Dad. So, in this episode, I'm going to go over TANF and a little bit about Medicaid. So, first of all, let me throw out my disclaimer, right? I am not a legal professional. I am not an attorney. I am not a attorney. Well, I'm not even an attorney's friend. I'm not an attorney. So, keep that in mind. This is what I learned while going through this in the state of Georgia. And of course, every state's going to be a little bit different, but hopefully this will give you some idea of what to ask about, what to look for when applying for TANF. So first of all, what the heck is TANF? What does that stand for? It stands for Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. And you're like, wait, what? No, I'm not needy. Am I needy? Well, this helps out in certain situations. For instance, this is probably going to be more for the kinship caregivers, those that have uh, guardianship or custody of children from a family member, grandparent raising a grandchild, aunt or uncle raising a child or whatever. So these benefits are out there to help you. In the state of Georgia, when you apply for TANF, it automatically, in this case, when you're applying for TANF, in this case for a child, it automatically triggers child support. So if no child support has been asked for or that's been initiated, when you do start the TANF process, when you apply for it, then in Georgia, the state will go after the child's parents for that. So if you are already receiving child support, then TANF can and most likely will be affected by that. Again, at least in Georgia, TANF kind of acts as a bridge for those that aren't receiving any support from the biological parents. So what they do, this is my take on it. So what they do is they provide funding through TANF for you or assistance through TANF for you and force the child support to occur. And then once child support is being received, the amount of funds you get from TANF gets decreased by the amount of funds you receive from child support. So I'm also thinking that if you already are receiving child support, that TANF can be denied because of that. Say for instance, you're getting $5,000 a month child support. Well, first, good for you. But secondly, the state doesn't consider that needy, right? So between, I don't know, $1 and $5,000, I don't know what that cutoff is for your state. I don't even know what it is for my state, but that's something to keep in mind. Why would you do this? Why would you need it? Well, if you need help paying for things for the child, then this is what you'll need. Recipients of TANF may qualify for help with food, housing, home energy, child care, and job training. So again, in the realm of child custody, child support, guardianship, we go for paying for food, clothing, that kind of thing for the children. There is a set amount that you can receive for TANF, generally speaking, per child. And of course, I'm sure there's all sorts of things that go into play there. In Georgia, they enacted a system. So if you're a grandparent and you have custody or guardianship of a grandchild, they actually pay you a little bit more. And I believe the minimum age for that to qualify for the additional benefits is 55. So 55 and older. They started that program right after we were dealing with TANF. So I did not see that, and I was under 55 at that time anyway, so it didn't matter for us. a few things to consider about TANF is, obviously each state is different. So you may want to check with some kind of legal counsel or check with your state kinship navigator, and they can hopefully help you through that process. I had a horrible time with Kinship Navigator here in Georgia at the time we went through it. It was during peak of COVID, and it was impossible to get anybody to speak with. Once I did, they did help me out through TANF, and that's why I'm producing this video. One of the things that I did wrong when I went through in Georgia, they have a website, a portal that you can go through to apply for TANF as well as Medicaid. And she helped me go through that. One of the things that I did wrong is I put in my information for how much I made, my net worth, and all the other questions they asked about it when trying to receive TANF. And of course, they kicked it out and said no. After talking to our kinship navigator, she mentioned, no, you don't put in your personal information when you're doing it for a custodial type situation. You put in the child's information. As far as how much they make, you still need to put in your personal information, just not financial information. Just leave that blank, basically. I guess they're not smart enough to ignore that if they see that you're a grandparent, but whatever. So she told me specifically, do not put in financial information for yourself. Just put in financial information for the child. So if the child has a job and is earning some money, which probably is not happening with a minor, especially a younger one, then if you put that information in, and of course, if not, you put 0. And after you got all that information entered, I'm going to go ahead and slide over into Medicaid a little bit too, because in Georgia, they were somewhat tied together. They were both in that portal. And it was the same case for Medicaid. And I need to do an episode on Medicaid itself and health insurance itself, because there's a lot there. Okay, so when you're in the portal for Georgia, it's the same information for Medicaid. You punch it in, and you do not put in your own personal income. You got to put in all the other stuff, but not your own personal income. Only the child's income should be considered while doing that, and then that should allow them to get on Medicaid. And adoption and foster is completely different. If they went through state foster care, they are most likely already on Medicaid. And at some point when you adopt or whatever, they will need to transfer that over to you. But if they're in state custody, and especially if their parental rights have been terminated, then, well, the state's in control of their health care completely. So, and that again, that's going to be a whole nother video. Now, child support is definitely going to vary extremely wildly between state to state. And I don't really want to get into child support a whole lot. I know in our case, it made no, we'll just say it made no difference, because the way the TANF was set up, which is what this video is primarily about, that was the main funds that I got to help support the children. Definitely look into TANF if you are in possibly fostering. I don't think TANF comes into play with fostering. I think that's actually handed straight through the state foster care as far as any subsidies that they give. It seemed like it was separate of that. But if you are in a situation where you have custody of a relative's child, then you definitely want to look into that. And again, it's going to change by state by state. This is such a deep subject. I could go into so many different things, but I want to try to keep this to a quick video and stay primarily on TANF with Medicaid kind of as a secondary deal. So anyway, look into TANF, and one thing that I've seen with several states and the groups that I've been in is most of them, I can't say all because I don't know about all states, they do tell you not to input your personal financial information in there. It's based solely on the child. So keep that in mind when you're filling out your TANF forms, and good luck navigating that, because it's it's always a battle. In fact, one quick story of my personal journey: we had two kids, and they were both babies at the time, a year apart, and I think it was Medicaid when we applied for health insurance. Because with my business, where I work, my company that I work for, I cannot, like most companies, I cannot change my health benefits until like November or whatever. Now they do specify if there's a change in family status, such as adoption, then you can change it to add them in, which we did when we adopted them. But anyway, Medicaid. So when we apply for Medicaid for both children, they were 1 and 2 or somewhere around that. They accepted one but not the other. I'm like, I that was one of those what kind of deals. There, it's the exact same circumstances for both children, and they did not accept one. So I had to spend some time on the phone reaching out to various people, and had to get that resolved, which it took some time, a lot of phone calls to get it happen. But once I got a hold of somebody, then we were able to get that resolved. I pointed out to them, I was like, no, these are the exact same case. And I guess in some cases, perhaps maybe mom has one child and you've got custody of the other, because I don't know that does happen, especially when there's a large age gap in there. But that was not the case in ours. We had custody of both children. We had, at that point, I think we had permanent custody. So anyway, thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and of course, hit that notification bell for any future episodes of The Unbiological Dad. Thank you.